Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the most magical podcast in the Midwest. The Magic in the Midwest podcast, starring J.B. Michaels and his more successful wife, Ashley Michaels. And now, your hosts. Again, second week in a row, the announcer forgot to say USA Today bestselling author.
The announcer
J.B.
definitely
Michaels.
seemed a little off
A little
today.
off. Needs
Yeah.
more coffee. Yes. So, USA Today best-selling author J.B. Michaels is what he should have said, and he didn't.
Is J.B. Michaels USA Today bestselling author?
He is. Although, that is a nice status to throw around, but I'm almost a little bit more proud of the award-winning aspect of it. I feel like when you're recognized for multiple awards in multiple places, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It means a little bit more of an affirmation that,
You don't suck.
Yeah, that I don't suck and that I'm on the right path, right?
Plot your author path.
Plot Your Author Path is another great book you should read by J.B. Michaels. I have a great plot ready for another Mac and Millie mystery, which people seem to love the Mac and Millies. There it is. The bomb goes off early today, though. Today, I got another great one. It's going to be another Christmas Walk book.
Okay.
Because the success of the Christmas Walk caper, I feel like maybe we should return to the Christmas Walk as well.
Everybody likes the Christmas walk.
Yeah, so I'm working out. I have the motive and the reasoning behind the motive. I have which is a motive. And then also I have the murderer who I want it to be. But I'm really,
Interesting.
yeah, I'm excited because I have some cool, innovative ideas that I want to kind of throw around,
All right. Great.
to a few people. Maybe do some cross promo stuff, So anyway. So that is some J.B. Michaels author news, because that's still happening. Also, ladies and gentlemen, what else are we gonna say? Ash, what else do we have to say for housekeeping?
Again.
Bandcamp.
Oh.
Guys, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Deezer or Spotify, and now. Big announcement. We're now added to Amazon's Audible platform.
Yeah.
For free. So if you guys are Audible listeners, or if you know anybody that is, they can access the Magic in the Midwest podcast now on Audible. So that'll be good too. So we're expanding the podcast to different spots.
Yeah. They picked us up because we were so popular.
They did. Also, the Magic... The Magic in the Midwest podcast.bandcamp.com is where you can help support the podcast and get extra content. We would really, we would love to honestly, maybe we should do a poll on social media or, maybe a little reach out to our subscribers, which by the way, we are very, very grateful for you guys.
Yes.
We just want to know if you're enjoying that content.
If you think it blows.
If you think, is there something that's preventing you from listening to it? I know there's a Bandcamp app, which is, honestly, the PC, the computer version of Bandcamp is much easier to navigate.
The problem is, though, no one's going to sit by their computer.
Well, if you're at work, and you're...
Yeah, but I feel like right now, that's not really the sitch.
But anyway, so just a suggestion, if you're a Bandcamp subscriber, I do feel like the Bandcamp computer web HTML version is much cleaner, right?
It is.
The app is a little harder to navigate for whatever reason. You could still, I always listen on the app to other Bandcamp exclusives because we subscribe to other people on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
That do Disney podcasts and other types of things. But, we would just love to hear, do you guys listen to those? And if you do, what would you like to see more of, or give us suggestions? We're open to things.
And if you don't listen to it, maybe reach out and let us know what you would like to see as a Bandcamp
that
subscriber.
Might make you want to listen more.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing. We also, I sent a note to everybody who subscribes, which we love you. Thank you so much. That we are going to be doing it bi-weekly now instead of every week, because we feel like it would be better to have a longer episode rather than just like a 20-minute thing. So we just think that would be, cooler. I think that would be more helpful. I don't know.
Especially now, because we have kind of an extensive backlog. If you haven't listened to every episode, or if you're
we have
new,
a ton of extra content.
Yeah. So just to make sure we're keeping it fresh and, not being, repetitive. So, we decided to, like JB said, move it to...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we would love to hear that. And then also, Ash, you've got some housekeeping to take care of.
Yes. One is our, weekly plug for Emily. She is a vacation planner. She is awesome. I love her. I adore her. I really want her to come on the podcast. Emily, think about it. But like I said, she's a vacation planner, and she specializes in Disney and Universal, but she can pretty much book anything, including cruises and all-inclusive resorts. Of course, that comes at no cost to you, and she can help you with all the things that come along with that, like dining, fast passes, and will monitor for savings, organize airport transfers for you, and can come up with a customized itinerary for you. And you can contact her via email at emily@magicalmousetravel.com. And just for reference, guys, JB was on the phone with Disney the other day for like 6 hours. And if you work with a vacation planner like Emily, not that I want her to be on the phone for 6 hours, but, those things that you would have to take care of through Disney, she will take care of those for you. So, if you don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to see if you can get the dining that you want, exactly 6 months out, she takes care of that for you, which is really awesome that it's, and it doesn't increase your price at all. If anything, you'll probably find that you'll get savings, because she'll find things that maybe you wouldn't be looking out for. So if you're looking to work with someone, she is super knowledgeable about the parks and Universal and everything. Give her a shout and let her know that we sent you over. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was something we mentioned a few podcasts ago. We would like to maybe start a segment where we have guests on the podcast. It's, it could be a short...
We already have one lined up.
Oh, we already have one lined up. Okay.
Yes.
Where you can come on here and talk to us just about, what you love about Disney. And, we can go into other things too, like your favorite resorts or whatever it is that you want to talk about. But just talk to, I think Disney fans really love hearing that, that moment, that thing that draws you to Disney. And is everything fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
So if you're interested in doing that, please email us or reach out on social media. Email is probably better though, because sometimes those messages on social media go to our other folder, that hidden folder. So you can contact us at magicinthemidwestpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know that you're interested in that, and we will contact you. And you don't have to be live on the podcast when we're recording. We'll probably do a separate one and then edit it together or whatever.
And we could just, we could edit it together. Honestly, sometimes I think it'd just be fun just to do, bonus content every week too, so we'll see.
Bonus content? What do you mean?
We could just have the mainline podcast and then have
I wanted
an
to
interview that someone can specifically, you know what I'm saying? So you could share, if whoever's the guest could share specifically their podcast. So we could just have it where your specific interview is shareable and you can just do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd be down for that.
Yes.
One other thing I wanted to add too was, I mentioned this last week, but Emily let me know that Food and Wine has been announced for Epcot, and that's from July 15th to November 20th, which JB and I were talking about how long that is. But I think we also know that fall is by far like the really busy time, with the exception of Christmas and spring break. So I think that they're trying to extend it to like summer, so that people are like, oh, we won't go in the fall, we'll go in the summer.
Fall is now absolutely 110% peak season for Walt Disney World. Peak season. You have other times, holiday times, which of course are very busy, but this is an entire season we're talking about. So whereas it used to be summer, but now people care less and less. So what happened was everybody was like, oh, I'm not coming in the summer again because it's too hot, and we could just take the kids out of school. It doesn't matter. We're just going to go in the fall. Well,
I think people
and now
love
everybody
the fall.
goes in the fall.
I think people really like the fall events too, though, like Mickey's Not So Scary and Food and Wine, and so that's why we've seen Mickey's Not So Scary push into August as well. I think they're trying to get you to say, oh, we'll just go at the end of summer.
Right.
Because you can still do those things. So I think they're trying to ease the fall crowds by extending those events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, I mean,
I don't think that's a bad move.
No, I
it.
think they have to. They're selling tickets, right? So that's what they have to do, right? I mean, that works. It's just now I think the norm for Epcot is the Epcot's just going to be the festival park, World Showcase. Like, it's just, there's very small windows of time where there's nothing going on.
Well, we were talking to our friends last night, actually, and they were talking about when they were there, Epcot was definitely the busiest of the parks, which I think is definitely because of Flower and Garden. And
it's Flower and Garden, and like we said last week, it's locals. Locals go to Epcot more than the other parks.
But we have like a subscription to a crowd calendar that I look at all the time, and it seems like Epcot is the one that's, the red, orange color, which means, more crowded, and all the other ones are green.
Well, yeah,
so.
and it's funny, too, because, Epcot's not even at the point where it's got the renovations or anything yet.
Right.
So basically what that tells you is that the people going to Epcot are not families as much as they are adults who just want to go eat and drink at Epcot, which I totally get. I would totally do the same thing.
Is Disney still honoring like the Epcot after, like whatever that's called, after dark, or it's like
I don't think they're doing any.
They're not
of
doing
that
that right now. Okay, I was just curious.
I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't know because we're not.
I would think not because I
mean, it's possible.
Okay, sorry.
I think they have. I don't know. Annual passes have been completely suspended, and that was an annual pass, so probably not.
I just want to add one more thing to housekeeping. Yeah. I know a lot of you might be thinking when you hear the thing about maybe wanting to be on the podcast, you might be a little tentative. And if you are, I still would urge you to reach out and talk to us about it. I'm not as good, but JB is phenomenal at keeping the conversation going. So you don't need to be nervous about it. If you're kind of on the fence but interested, please email us. We think it would be super fun to have people on the podcast. So.
For sure. So, okay, great. So what else, Ash?
That's all of my housekeeping, I think.
Okay. So basically, we are going to talk about something Disney started in 1991. And I remember being a kid and being in the parks and receiving information about this. Now, I don't know if you could, some of you, if you go way back, if you can remember this, Disney did have like a special agreement with, I think it was Visa or MasterCard at the time, called the Vacation Kingdom.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like membership. And really, there wasn't much to it other than you could, it's an official card of Disney, and you got like this special bag that said the Vacation Kingdom Club, and like, I don't know, you got some perks with the card if you used it or whatever. So there was some sort of like special membership that you could have with Disney. This was back in the 80s. My mom had it. I remember she had the bag. I remember she was like totally part of it. She did it, whatever it was. It wasn't anything real extensive, but it was something cool and extra that you could be a part of. Well, 1991, this was all Mike Eisner. He was all Eisner, and he was basically like, let's figure out a way to have timeshare type of opportunities, and build them at Disney. And originally, the concept was specific to, like, specific resorts would be built just for something that would become Disney Vacation Club.
Right.
And the very first resort that they built specifically for that, which other podcasts were quick to note, they were called home away from home resorts at first. Even though now the designation has changed and they're pretty much deluxe resorts, all of them,
right,
for the most part. Although now with Caribbean's DVC thing going up, it's going to start shifting and changing.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it goes. But yes.
Yeah. So Old Key West was the first one that they built. It's fantastic. We've stayed there. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But, Old Key West, Boardwalk, Beach Club, Yacht Club, all of these Disney Vacation Club build places. Like, you would be buying into these specific resorts, a real estate interest, they call them, and you can stay at this expires in 60 years. That's usually the standard. If you buy brand new, like right away, you're getting a membership for like 60 years, basically, or 50. Is it 50 or 60? So ours was 60.
Ours was 60. I don't know.
I think now they may have. That might be less because our.
It would be.
Was it 2070? I guess it would be 60 still.
But I don't think all of them were always like that.
Right. So
I don't know for sure.
Yeah, so they basically gave you points to come to Disney for the next 50, I think, sometimes 50 to 60 year range. I'm fairly certain that when Ash and I bought in initially in 2013, it was for 60 years.
Oh, yes, that I know.
That's what I was asking.
Oh, I thought you meant, was it always 60 for everyone when something opened? That I don't know.
So we had a 60, right away because we were like, well, let's go with the length of time that's better than, whatever. So,
because I think Animal Kingdom was definitely less. It was like 50 something left.
So in the 90s, it was $14,000 to buy a week's worth of points.
Oh my God.
$14,000.
Yeah.
My mom, who is a huge Disney fan, her parents were huge Disney fans. And then, of course, all of us, and hence the reason for this podcast, that it exists. She seriously thought about it and was like, talked to my dad. I was like, maybe we should do this. This would make sense considering how often we come and how much we love it. And back then, in 91, there was only 3 parks. There weren't that many resorts yet. It was, that was when park hoppers were, not extra add-ons. You could buy a park hopper pass, specifically. Yes, that was a little extra. Your tickets did not expire. Lots of cool things like that were, something that was just part of the value that are now it's different. But so DVC has been around for 30 years, so 1991 to 2021. And we're just going to talk a little bit about that. We've talked about like why we joined and things we did and the reason why we did it a few in another podcast. I don't know. I have to look and see which one that was. But we have done that already. We're not going to go ad nauseum through all that. But what we will do is we're going to talk about our experiences in the places we've stayed. So when we bought it in 2013, we stayed, the very first trip we used on our points, because we had like a boatload of points. We had 320 points or something, right? Because they get double points basically when you buy in.
They give you like the previous
They give you the previous year's points. So we had a ton of points.
Yeah.
And we used those points to stay at Vero Beach first.
Yes, we did.
Tell us about Vero. What'd you think?
Vero was, it's really great. It's super relaxing. It's definitely way more low key than if you're at the parks, but that's the point, right?
Yeah.
You're on the beach. You're right on the beach, and then there's this great pool, and the rooms are really nice. And the things that stick out for me were it kind of like takes you back. Like we were renting movies and staying in the room. This was before Harrison. So we rented What About Bob? And we just sort of like hung out and relaxed and went to the pool and walked on the beach. And then they also had these, like this bonfire, campfire thing. I think it's like a few nights a week that they do it. And you can have s'mores and they do like silly competitions. And we had a great time. It's not for me somewhere I would want to spend a week. There are people that would like to do that for a week because you can go into town and there are places to eat and stuff. We didn't do that. But I know a lot of people add it to either the beginning or the end of their Disney trip as a way to sort of relax before or after all the chaos that usually happens. I mean, some people can go to Disney and like stay in the hotel a decent amount. We don't really ever end up doing that. But I love Vero and I'm very excited to go back.
Yes. Here Vero Beach is, about an hour and 20-minute drive from Orlando. So when you get to MCO, you got to rent a car, right? And you rent a car, you drive over. It's really, very chill, very kind of sleepy town, but it's great. What else? So basically what we did is it was criminally short, but we were like, let's just use our points. We got the points. Let's go. We're just excited, right? And we had just been through a long winter, right? So it was a long winter. It was,
What month
rough.
did we go to?
May.
May. It was May. Okay.
And we decided, let's do it. Let's just go to Vero. I think it might have been Memorial Day weekend or something
so
close
like we
to
only
that.
had to take like another day off or something, or maybe we took
did
no
it.
days. I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah, we might not have. I mean, we stayed for 2 nights and that was it. It was a very short trip. So we, or maybe it was 3, but we got in late
because you have to.
So
like you
really,
said, you have to
we
rent a car,
had
which is something to think about because there's no Disney provided transportation. So if you're not at the age where you can rent a car, you really can't do it.
Right.
Unless you're with someone that is 20. Is it 25?
25 is where you need to be.
Because I was just side note real quick. There was a group of girls that planned a trip and they were all under 25 and they realized
I can't rent a car.
We can't rent a car. And they were able to get like an Uber out there, but it was super expensive and then no one was willing to take them back to the airport. So something to think about. Disney does not provide transportation like a bus or anything like that, so you have to rent a car.
Right.
As of right now.
Yes. So something really cool about Vero is a 1715 hurricane sunk 11 treasure ships from a foreign fleet just offshore from the current site of Disney's Vero Beach Resort. How cool is that? It was in that seaside stretch to become known as Florida's Treasure Coast. Okay, and that, I think it was Spain. Yep. It was a Spanish fleet of treasure that they were bringing from, the Caribbean and the New World over to, it sunk right off Vero. How cool is
Very
that?
cool.
And the other big symbol of Vero is the turtles. Because
they
there's
have
sea turtles that hatch.
Yeah, they do
And they protect them. So, so it's pretty cool. So I think it's going to be one of those things too, where if you go to Vero, you just have to get yourself in a different mindset. The biggest, awesomest, most wonderful thing about Vero for me was being so close to the ocean, not even going into the ocean, but just being there, hearing the ocean from our room and just relaxing and just watching it. We took a long walk down Vero too. Down
we did.
the
And
beach.
then I don't remember the name of that like little bar that's like upstairs in the main, we sat up there and there's only like 3 tables out there, but we just sat up there and like listened to the waves.
Had a drink
it was really nice.
It
and
was
relaxing.
really, really great, you guys. I rave about Vero. I love Vero. I keep saying I want to go to Vero. Ash says, no, I don't want to go. So
that's not the whole
No, that's pretty much every time I ask to go to Vero Beach.
Nope.
So
Wait, side note.
No.
Side note.
No.
I put a pull-up on the pod.
Oh,
And
Slid.
the majority of people voted that I was a Gryffindor, like I actually am, according to, yes, Wizarding World, what used to be Pottermore. I'm an official Gryffindor.
WizardingWorld.com?
It has been for a while now.
Oh, I thought it was Pottermore.
It is not. It hasn't
I thought
been.
it was.
If you were officially a Hufflepuff, then you should actually know.
Whatever. Okay.
Gryffindor.
Anyway. So Vero is fantastic. I will say that we had a deluxe studio at Vero. It was the weirdest shaped room I've ever been in
It's
my
like
life.
on a diagonal. It's kind of
Guys,
weird.
it's very weird. It's like the Flatiron building in New York. It's like shaped like a V. You know, like it's weird. And the TV was very, very tiny.
It was really tiny.
I think that has since changed. I think they've done some updates to things. But when we were there, it was a weirdly shaped room.
We've actually heard that if you're going to stay in a studio, you might be better off actually just staying in one of the rooms.
Yes, we did not.
If you stay in a one bedroom, it's different because you're going to have, like the kitchen and then have that little studio that can be like the 2-bedroom part. So we have not actually done that, so we can't speak to it, but that's what a lot of DVC people say.
Yeah. I mean, we tried to get an in room, but it wasn't. I don't think it was available. I didn't know what to do. At the time, I was like, "Oh, deluxe studio sounds better than an in room."
Well, because at Vero, you actually can use the points to stay in an in room.
Yeah.
Most DVC resorts, you can't do that,
right.
but you can do that there.
So I know my parents stayed at Vero, and they stayed at an in room and had an ocean view. And
Perfect.
they just raved. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. It was
our room was great, but I would definitely try the other one.
It was my mom's her last trip of her, awesomely lived life.
And she loved it, didn't she?
She
loved the trip.
My mom always, since she was a kid, would go to Florida. Her grandparents lived in Florida for a while. It's kind of fitting. And she loved the ocean. She just loved being around the ocean. So it was a very special time for her. I think it was good that she did it. And she used her Disney Vacation Club points.
Yeah.
Something that she had always wanted to do too, and she did it for her family, for my sisters. So pretty sweet that her final trip was very relaxing, and she got to be there. So now Vero holds a special spot in my heart too, obviously because of that. Great place, definitely worth going. And then our next trip, we took it home to our home resort. Our next trip, we split stayed, which is something that people apparently are doing more and more of. From what we've heard from a DVC associate, that people are doing these crazy things with their points.
I think it just depends on the person. In the groups that I'm in, because I'm in a few just like Disney groups and then also DVC groups on Facebook, there are people that are totally all for this. I think it would be very difficult with multiple young children, but basically when you switch rooms, you have to pack up all your stuff, and then you're without an area because you're probably not going to get into your next room until 4 or so.
Yeah.
Now, that might not affect you at all because you're like, well, we'll be in the parks. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I still think having to get all your stuff back in the suitcase and like get it to guest services and that, you know what I mean? There is a little, I don't mind moving once in a trip, but there are people that I guess are moving every single night to like be close to Magic Kingdom, then be close to Epcot. And to me, I think that's more trouble than for what it's worth. But there are people that don't mind.
If you're a couple or just, if you're by yourself or you have a buddy with you, I think that's probably way easier to do.
But I also think if you're a
kids,
guy, it's probably easier. Like, I like getting all my stuff out on the bathroom counter and like getting my stuff situated and making it feel like my quote unquote home away from home.
Yeah.
I think that like I said, I don't mind moving once, but every time we've done that, it's also that day is a little bit more stressful.
Right.
And, I think it comes down to personality, too. Some people just are like, well, we're out in the parks all day. It doesn't matter at all. And some people are like, no, I want to just stay in one spot.
Right. Right. So the next trip we took, this was pre Harrison, but not pre Harrison because Harrison was technically growing inside of
very,
Ashley.
very early. And this was the trip where I started
We
to
started
feel
slamming drinks,
a little ill,
going on rocking
and
in the front row.
we couldn't really figure it out.
Right. So we stayed at Boulder Ridge, which, again, Ashley poo-poos this one for me, too. I can never stay at Wilderness Lodge again in my life. Because every time I say it, I don't like it, there's no monorail, there's no... So
we really need to start doing these videos so people can see my legit thing. Facial expressions.
Like one of the most beautiful resorts on property.
I don't like Boulder Ridge, not because it's not great. It's just my personal preference. I don't.
No, I'm not talking about the style. Listen. I'm talking about Wilderness Lodge.
Okay, location. We were actually talking about Boulder Ridge. No, I'll definitely stay at Wilderness Lodge, but someone explained to me why the points are just as high and you don't have the monorail and you have to take buses everywhere because I don't.
You could take a boat to Magic Kingdom.
I don't like the boats.
Shut up.
It's like now 3 people fit on a boat.
Whatever. No, you're right. Okay, so
I am. Thank you.
You're right about the boats. I'm not saying you're right about not staying at Wilderness Lodge again.
Whenever you want. I'm gonna go do my
I'm gonna use my place to stay by myself. The Wilderness Lodge.
You do that. Try and come back home and see what happens.
So they've since redid a bunch of stuff over at Boulder Ridge, though. So there's a brand new pool area and recreation area. And also they added Copper Creek to... So really, it's kind of cool. Wilderness Lodge actually has 2 DVC sections to it. Mm-hmm. Only because Wilderness Lodge, when it opened in the mid-'90s, early to mid-'90s, was a huge hit. People were just absolutely floored by it.
Well, I mean, if you're not floored by the pool... at just the main
lobby.
Pool
Yeah.
And the lobby, and then especially being at the pool at night, you have something going on in your mind.
Yes.
Because it is amazing. I do love it, and I really want to go to Geyser Point. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
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 I love the Wilderness Lodge, but I think, you can't just stick a resort on the monorail loop and be like, oh, it's the same as the other 3. No, it's not. And the rooms are really small.
You mean right off the monorail loop?
Okay, but they could have, you can't advertise, but they advertise it as the same. Oh, this is in the Magic Kingdom. No, it's not. I'm sorry. Having the monorail is a huge perk. You're charging only slightly less to stay at Wilderness Lodge. I'm sorry.
Okay, anyway, rant over. Can we please talk about our next stay? So we went to Boulder Ridge.
Mistake.
I don't think so, but
I think so. What a crock.
So Wilderness Lodge is gorgeous.
It is.
It's a great place to stay. Boulder Ridge, I mean, it is. It's a darker toned. Although I think they've since lightened things up because they've refurbed since we've been there. Because when we were there was a lot of forest green and browns and kind of darker motif. Where I think they have since brightened up the rooms. To be with Bambi and just a little softer, lighter, brighter tones. But it was great. We stayed there for 2 nights on that 7 day?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so we did 2 nights over at Boulder, and then we did take our cell bags and we did head on over to our home resort, the Grand Floridian. And there is a reason why it's impossible to get into. I mean, I will say this. That is our home resort. It's beautiful. The DVC area, the DVC side, I love more than
me too.
The actual flagship lobby area of the Grand Floridian. It is absolutely gorgeous in there. The Mary Poppins Penguin Fountain, and the rooms are nice. They've got 2 bathrooms. Even Deluxe Studios have the 2 showers.
And they have the mirrors,
situation.
The
TVs
mirrors.
and the mirror. It's a beautiful.
So if you want to stand
resort.
in the bathroom to get away from your spouse and just watch TV, they have made that possible for you.
Right. So we love. Yes, you want to stand in the bathroom. I have to get away. I'm going to stand in the bathroom to get away from you. I hate you. I'm having to carry or drop off the D papers.
Maybe they got a lot of feedback.
Just like the Beatles broke up at the Poly, we're going to break up at the Flow, the Grand Floridian.
Great. Let's do it.
No, kidding. Love you. Never, never, never. Until I die. Death do we part.
I'll definitely die first.
Probably. Life insurance. Let's get it soon.
You really got
By the way, if you need anything, let me know, guys. Insurance-wise. Speaking of life insurance. Just 3 short minutes. You can buy life insurance from JB. Okay. So, Ash, give me your thoughts on our stay at Grand Floridian.
And I've talked about this before. When we went as kids, we stayed at the Grand Floridian. My parents wanted to stay at the Polynesian. It was booked. We stayed at the Grand Floridian. So for me, it always holds a special place in my heart, even though, I know, we'll have to post some of those pictures on the podcast of me with super crazy hair and crabby. Yeah, no,
crabby.
I wasn't crabby yet.
Right,
that was before it was pre-crab. Yeah.
Holly and Pete were on us on this trip.
Will you wait a second? I'm not done yet.
Sorry, go ahead.
What was I saying? So anyway, so there's that for me. That's always. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. There's that, but like JB says, I think for me the Grand Floridian, it's just not my taste really. It's just very high end. It's very beautiful in there, but it's not like I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is where I want to stay.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that the DVC side has this sort of low key Mary Poppins vibe going on, which is really cool. I feel like it really warms it up, and we had a great time. Yeah,
it's a much softer.
Yeah.
It's not Victorian, like straight Victorian like it is over in the main building, where the main lobby is. It is much softer and warmer toned. It's more golds and
whites,
like
but like
tans,
warm whites,
warmer, like off-white. Actually,
and I'm someone that likes very bright,
brass,
light,
a little bit
decor. That's just me. I like things that are bright, even though I love the Polynesian, which goes against that.
Yeah.
But so I really like the Grand Floridian. I am excited to stay there again. It's not my favorite in terms of how it's set up, meaning like its proximity to other things on like the Grand Floridian map.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like you have to walk. There's some DVC resorts where you have to walk a little bit more than others. And for some reason, the Grand Floridian, I felt that more. I also don't love their pools. They're just not my favorite pools on property. Right. There's nothing wrong with them. They're beautiful. They're great. But, I just don't prefer those pools like Wilderness Lodge, and I like Bay Lake and Contemporary better, Polynesian better. I think Grand Flow, in terms of the Magic Kingdom resorts, probably has my least favorite pools.
Yes.
But their quick service is nice, and I'm excited to stay there. It's one of those things where it eats up a lot of points because it's the Grand Floridian.
But now that's different for us.
So we usually don't opt to stay there, just because when you can stay somewhere else for 9 points a night, it's hard to be like, oh well, let's stay here for 23 points a night. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I really enjoyed it. It's beautiful, and I want to stay there again.
I do. Okay, and the other great thing, which I love, not only do you have coffee machines in your room, but down in the DVC resort lobby, there is another cappuccino coffee machine down there.
You know what I do?
Which is great.
You know what I want to add real quick? This, again, was pre-knowledge of Harrison. But it was obviously, even if I had known I was pregnant, different thing. When we were at Boulder Ridge, it definitely felt very kid-friendly. There's like this area where kids watch movies inside. That's really cool.
Right, the Carolwood Pacific Room.
Yeah, and we saw a bunch of kids in there watching something, and that was really sweet. At the Grand Floridian, even on the DVC side, there's this little bit of a nagging feeling that it's like very, it's quieter in there. And
right. Although I will say, you're right, Ash. I totally get it.
I feel like if you have a bunch of kids running around, you do see a bunch of kids at the Grand Floridian. It's like there's no kids there, but you feel, because everything's so bright and white, like, don't touch that. Don't touch that.
Right.
Like, you kind of have that little thing going on.
Right. And I will say the pool that's in between the main building and the splash pad so there's a pool that has rock work and has like a waterfall that's like more of a family friendly pool for the Grand Floridian. That's closer to the DVC side. And then there's a cool splash pad that's Alice in Wonderland themed with like the teacups like all pouring down into each other and, flipping and blowing, it's cool. I mean, that is neat. But you're right. The Floridian doesn't scream
warmth
kids.
Yeah.
The DVC side does a little bit more.
A little more.
Right. And I will say the cast members there are great. I mean, the cast members in these places are phenomenal. Usually. They really, honestly are for the most part.
But I mean,
except for Bay Lake, there's some questionable weirdness to it.
There's always something going on there.
But everywhere else we've stayed, it's never been an issue. I will say this, and I've talked about this in other podcasts when we've stayed at. Then we're gonna do one more, and we're gonna have to. This is gonna be a series,
two-parter,
This
three-parter.
will be a special topics continuing.
Mm-hmm.
So next week we'll get back into Islands of Adventure, but the week after we'll have to go back to our DVC experiences. And I will say, when you get the resort mugs, you gotta walk like a mile.
That's what I was saying. The distance between things is,
So that's the only thing. It's like, because it's a newer DVC resort, they did not build Grand Floridian with DVC in mind.
I mean, same with Bay Lake.
Right. So you're building these separate structures on the property of those resorts, close to the property of those resorts. So it did, you do have to walk quite a bit of ways, which I've talked about in the past. But it is great. The monorail's right there. You hop on the monorail, you're in Magic Kingdom. You hop on the monorail, you go fly down over to the Transportation Ticket Center and go to Epcot. And you can walk down to Polynesian anytime you want and just hang out at the Polynesian.
I think we did. We went to Captain Cook's, right?
Which is funny, because that was only in 2014. Okay, and Captain Cook's was like
under construction.
And now Polynesian is again under construction.
Well, I think they're doing something else. I think Captain Cook's is probably fine, now.
Right.
But when we went, we were in this like little weird room with no windows, and it was just like the new, where they had to put up a temporary Captain Cook's quick service because they were redoing something.
I do also want to tell you that I think the construction over at Poly is just because Polynesian is, I think people love the Polynesian. They just have a connection to the Polynesian, and that's why it's getting more love. They got Moana themed rooms now, which look beautiful. Actually, they do look really nice. But anyway, so one more, Ash, and that's Old Key Dubs. So that's the next time we went. Harrison was born. He was 5 months old.
We said we were going to wait till he was 3 years old.
Yeah, we're like, Ash, we're not going to go till he's 3. I mean, come on. We can't go when he's a baby. It'll be stupid. We were like, you're right, Jim. You're right, JB. You're so smart.
No, I was the one that said it.
You're just the best. I know, that happens all the time.
I never said that.
Right. And we stayed at Old Key West. And the first thing that pops up into my head when we stay at Old Key West is gators.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
We were right on we had
course.
A building that was right next to the golf course. And there were two giant
on the first floor.
gators. It was a huge storm. It was August, so it was pouring rain every afternoon. There was 2 gators just plowing their way.
Yeah. I was standing, so it was raining. Harrison was in the pack and play, I think, sleeping.
That's crazy.
And I went out on so some resorts, when you're on the first level, there's no, what is that? Like deck?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just there's like a little cement patio that you have. At Old Key West, you do have that little deck. Thank goodness. In this situation, others would have been freaking out. But it was pouring rain, and it's covered. So I went out there, and I was just standing out there, and I saw, within 30 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet of where I was standing, there was a huge gator. This thing must have been 15 feet.
Right. It was
long.
huge.
I saw it run across the golf course. And then I went to go tell you, and in the meantime, I saw another one run the other way. And I was like, oh my gosh, lock the doors.
Yeah, lots of gators. So one thing I will say, we stayed in a 1-bedroom in Old Key West.
Huge.
I absolutely love Old Key West.
Me too.
I can't believe we haven't been back there yet. We have got to go back.
Well, it definitely fills up faster than Saratoga. Yeah, if you are DVC, or even if you're not, and you're looking to take someone else or have big accommodations, a 1-bedroom at Old Key West is probably equivalent to the space in a 2-bedroom almost
at Boardwalk,
anywhere else.
Beach Club.
It's huge. I would love to see what the 2 bedrooms there look like. I don't know if it necessarily sleeps any more people. You know what I'm saying?
Sleeps 9 people.
A 1-bedroom?
2-bedroom.
Most 2 bedrooms do.
Right.
But even though you're getting a lot of space with the 1-bedroom, I don't think it technically sleeps more than 5. But it's huge.
I loved it. And to be honest, for our situation, which we had a baby, and we brought a baby.
He was so good,
He
though.
was great.
That was
really
actually
great.
probably, that was like an easier trip than...
a beautiful resort and a great trip. And we even told ourselves we weren't going to go into 2 parks. We wound up buying tickets for Epcot as soon as we got to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
I was like, we got to go to Epcot. So we did. But it was a wonderful trip. We actually did Crystal Palace that time. Mm-hmm. And the Pooh characters absolutely fell in love with our son. Like Piglet was obsessed with our son. He was, it's just a really sweet. It was just a really nice, it was a trip we needed, right? It was. When you have a new board, it's really tough, and then things get better as the months go on. But, it was beautiful, guys. Old Key West is, like we said, we opened the podcast with. It was the first DVC resort, and it's also like, they called it originally, it was like home away from home, and that's the reason why, like you said, Ash, the accommodations are big. So basically, you walk into your 1 bedroom, and you're walking into a common area, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's where you walk in, right? Or you walk into the bedroom area. No, you
never walk into the bedroom
right,
area.
You walk right in, so you walk into a common area, and you can see there's like a table, like a kitchen table type thing. It's not really in the kitchen, so it's like a dining room table type situation. And then there's sliding doors, and they go out to the patio and chill there. There's a couch.
There's 2 couches.
And the TV's in like a console that's like
also doubles as the kitchen island.
Right. Yes. And it's the kitchen's on like a L quarter angle.
But if you've stayed in a 1 bedroom at other resorts, you'll know that even though the kitchen, like, I'm not saying they're super tiny, but they're kind of like jammed. You know what I mean? You got like this little counter space, and here's the fridge, and here's this whatever.
Yes.
At Old Key West, it is like
spread out,
a 20/20 kitchen. It is like it's like the biggest part of the room, and then it just completely open to the couches and the TV, and you have like this huge area.
So don't sleep, you guys. If you're DVC members or you're thinking about DVC, don't sleep on Old Key West. It is awesome. And then you walk into there's like actually a hallway. Like there's enough room for you could actually call it a hallway. There's the thin twin, the laundry, and then like even a closet with like an ironing board and like extra stuff, pillows and everything. And then you walk in and you've got that bathroom with the hot tub. Right, with the jets.
Yeah, I mean the bathroom itself. Like when we wanted Harrison to be like, the room was big, but we wanted him to kind of have him be in the pack and play and like not be in our room, but right next to us, like we could hear him because if we were waking up and stuff, we didn't want to wake him up, and that seems silly now, but that's what we wanted.
Well, it's
but like
things you do.
There was like an area where the hot tub was, the jacuzzi or whatever. Or whirlpool, whatever it's called. But like his whole pack and play fit into that part of the bathroom, like where in the toilet and stuff was like past that. But I mean, it fit in there. Yeah. And like our room was huge, so we had, and then usually if you guys have stayed in one, there's like those shutters that kind of close between the bathtub
and the rest of the
room.
bedroom.
So we like kept those open so we could, hear them obviously and whatever. But it was huge and it was perfect. And he would fall asleep early and we would watch Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
On the DVD.
Yeah, we watched season 4, the Frozen season, which I love that show.
So we watched that, and the days we went into the park were great because he would just like nap in the stroller, and we would just walk around, and we were just so happy to be there. Yeah. It's Old Key West. I know a lot of people kind of compare Saratoga and Old Key West. For me personally, Old Key West has this very warm feeling. I love that they have a quick service and Olivia's and a designated store area. Right. Saratoga always feels like super spread out and a little bit just less accessible and a little bit less warm for me. If I had to choose between the two, hands down, I would pick Old Key Dubs. Yeah. Yes.
So something to think about. And the grounds are beautiful. It is like there is one weird thing about Old Key West. Like there's this like this street that basically separates the hospitality house like area with Olivia's and the lobby and the store and the pool area, everything, like the main part of the resort. and then there's like the street where the buses go. So like you have to cross the street. You know what I mean? Which is weird because you don't really have to do that anywhere else.
Right.
You know, but you have to cross the street to get over to that area, which Old Key West really is supposed to recreate this, town called Conch Flats. Old Key West is getting this from the Disney Files magazine, which you get. Okay. Yeah. If you're a DVC member. It says Old Key West is an idyllic representation of the Florida Keys as they may have appeared in the early 1900s when America's southernmost point first gained popularity as a tourist destination. So that's the whole theme of this resort, right? You do feel like it's supposed to mimic the Key West and, Hemingway and blah, 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 all that area. It's beautiful, you guys. There's like a marina right next to the area where you could go eat at Olivia's and near the pool. There's at the pool, there's a huge sand castle slide, which I think is really neat. And then there's some cool dolphin statues in the area. It's great. I mean, I think for people from the Midwest, it's cute. There's a funny picture of a baby staring at Mickey. His eyes are wide open.
That's so funny.
Probably just pooped his pants, and, But yeah, Old Key West, you guys, is just it's really, I think DVC owes a lot to it. It's well done, and it really helped start DVC.
And I mean, it's not the easiest to get accommodations there. I think a lot of people that own there want to stay there.
Yeah.
So that speaks to it as well.
I think, and when we were there, a lot of English people were there. A lot of British visitors.
When we couldn't figure out, maybe it was more of like their summer break, because we did go in very late August. So we're like, oh, maybe their summer break is different than, than in the U.S. or maybe...
Right.
And
there is a perk to Old Key West. You are close to Disney Springs. So you could get out a boat and you could go down the Sassagoula and, head on over to Disney Springs or Saratoga Springs.
Sassagoula. I feel like that's such a great name.
Yeah.
Like if we got a dog, I'd call it.
Sass.
Oh, and then you could call it Sassy.
We're getting a dog
full
named
name
Sassy.
Sassagoula.
Let's
full
just get
name
the puppy.
Sassagoula.
What are you doing? Let's just do it.
No.
It's going to be fine. The girls aren't going to bother you. Ash has
Call
severe allergies.
Sassagoula.
Wait.
And call her Sassy.
Yeah.
That would be so perfect. No one steal it. No, you can steal it because we won't know. That would be just the name.
Call the people.
The name
I want after we come back, we're getting a dog.
No.
We're getting the puppy.
No.
You're going to be fine. Maybe we'll be fine with the female.
Maybe we should look into other breeds, though.
Oh, whatever. Who cares? We're not
gonna do it.
Yeah, whatever. we get excited about it. Doesn't happen. It's fine though.
Great name though.
We love dogs, but
Ash
we just have issues every time we try. We've tried like 12 times. But anyway, so guys, honestly, DVC Old Key West, I love it. It feels. Ash, interrupted me. If for people from the Midwest, right? Burn. For when people go from the Midwest and they go to Florida, this really is a Florida Keys themed resort. It's highly themed.
It's just theme. Its theme is Florida.
Its theme is Florida, but that's okay with us.
Yeah, if you're from the Midwest, it is okay. Yeah.
Right. All right, guys. So this is going to be a series.
Wait. I feel like I wanted to say something else that was important.
Sure.
There was something important about. Oh, if you are interested in DVC, we don't sell it. We don't get anything from that. But we do have someone that we've worked with that's really great. So if you want her information,
we can refer you.
We can refer
you.
And
if you guys are serious and you want to buy in, if you let us refer you, we get like a nice gift card. So
well, that makes it sound like it is in it for we are
in it for ourselves.
Maybe we could give you some of it.
No.
Okay.
So
see, one of us is more selfish than the other.
No, it's why would that be a bad thing?
Well,
if someone did that, if someone was in it and I did it, I would
we
be
did
totally
do it. We did refer.
Oh yeah,
we did.
Ooh.
Okay, but The Mannies.
Oh, yeah.
John
yeah.
Land. But if you're just interested in work, you don't have to put us down is the thing. I mean, if you do, that's great. We would appreciate it. But we do have someone that we work with she was really nice.
She was really great.
So if you want
a senior exec
yeah,
over at
she was
DVC.
very sweet. She was very non-pushy. She was very, what's the word? I want to say informational. What is she was very knowledgeable. Not
She was very informational.
Well, I said that wasn't the word.
Right. Okay.
So anyways, if you're interested in that, you can reach out. We'll let you know what her contact info is.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast and listening to us. And thank you for the nice feedback we've been getting lately.
Yeah.
People have been commenting on our YouTube version of the podcast, which is just the audio, but
I think we might. I think we should try videos.
People have been reaching out to us too, just like in different ways via Instagram and other ways, saying how much they really enjoy the podcast. So that really warms
I have a question.
our heart. Yeah.
Can we do Bandcamp YouTubes?
I don't know.
And do it behind a wall? No, you
I
can't do
don't
that.
think
If it's
so.
on YouTube, everyone can see it.
So
Dang
I'm
it.
not sure. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And yes, if you want to subscribe and help for $3 a month, literally as low as $3 a month, you can help support the podcast. Magic in the Midwest podcast.bandcamp.com. Thank you so much. Rate and review us, you guys. We need those ratings and reviews to boost us on Apple Podcasts at different venues different platforms. All right. So thank you again. And from the Midwest, see you later.